Good morning. If you've been following my food forest, you'll know that I started this food forest in July. And I created the paths, I've used permaculture principles, I've used no dig. I've just tried to have it as organic as possible. Probably the only thing that may not be organic was the sawdust, as we're not sure the source of where the sawdust has come from. So if you look back on the first video, you'll see there was absolutely nothing growing. Now we've got beans and we've got cucumbers, and we try as much as possible to restore the soil and to grow things as cheaply as possible. So most of our seeds, things like the cucumbers that are here, is from rescued cucumbers from the supermarkets. We pick up all their waste and feed it to the chickens, and often there's a whole cucumber in there, and we've just cut them in half and then laid them down. So again, that's cucumbers there. We've got society garlic, we've got passion fruit growing, sunflowers, Chinese cabbage, we've got green lentils, we've got sweet corn. These are sweet corn. I kept them separate from the regular white corn that we grow here for the sembe, for the maize meal. So these are for the maize meal with some nice beans next to them, returning the nitrogen into the soil. And here we've got some lettuce coming up, and we've got some aubergine seedlings coming up. We've got some okra coming up there, so you can see, and I'm going to pick those very early. In fact, I might pick that now whilst we're going around, because they tend to go to seed very quickly. So that's the little okra. I'm hoping he's edible. Just put that in my pocket. And here, this was a pumpkin that I bought, a big pumpkin, sacrificed half and just buried it whole with the seeds and everything, and look how it has just bloomed. And what we're doing is we're chopping off the ends and feeding them to the chickens. It's a way to restrain the plant from putting too much energy into producing just leaves and concentrating on starting to produce fruit. This one actually hasn't started to produce fruit, but I'll show you some others that have already. So we're mixing herbs together with the vegetables. So here we have lots of cilantro growing alongside, and being as natural as possible, planting herbs that chase away insects. So this is the watermelon. Again, I sacrificed a watermelon, cut it in half, and then just buried it down. So if you see the brown paper bags, those have got fruits underneath. And I've got some little insect cups here. You'll see those in another video. And my biggest watermelon is underneath this one, so I'm just going to lift it to show you. So that's my first watermelon, and I'm very excited. So I'm covering them in the hope that the insects won't get to them. And I've covered them with many different mediums. So one's paper bags and one's old tights. So those are the cherry guavas are coming along nicely there. That's another sacrificial pumpkin that just came from the supermarket, and it's flowering already. And again, that will be controlled. This pigeon pea, I planted a lot of pigeon pea, but haven't had as much success as I would have thought. So this is our first one that's already over 1 meter high. And we've got parsley growing here, and broccoli, more sweet corn. This, interestingly enough, is, I think in Kiswahili it's called guara. And according to my staff, it is a very, very expensive bean to buy in the market and in great demand. So we're going to hopefully try and get a whole sack full and see if that's a good way to trade. This is a Heliconia that the chickens love, and I've left it in the food forest because we've been just chopping it up and feeding it to the chickens. We do have 80 chickens, so they need to be fed. So we'll continue on here. We've now arrived at this end, so you'll see it's just recently covered in compost and horse manure, and then we will start planting on this side. We've buried loads of potatoes and onions that we again got from the dumpster diving for the chicken food, but other than that we haven't really started to plant too much. On this side here you'll see we've started the millet, and the millet is actually more for the birds because we need a lot of bird food in this garden. So that's all the millet that was planted this week. And I started that the same way you would start microgreens. I started it in vermiculture in a small container. So you might see that in my microgreen video. Didn't enjoy eating them as microgreens. They were quite sort of indigestible actually, and I think they'd be better in a smoothie. We don't do a lot of smoothies in this house, so I thought, right, in they go into the garden. This is a big maize that came up from last year's harvest. So he's just a random one that's been left there. I normally do not plant canna lilies in my garden, but this one has come up on its own, and I'm going to leave it there because the chickens love it. So that'll be for the chickens. Got some hibiscus in different places, again just for the pollen. This is a purple hibiscus. Sadly the flower's not out so that you can see it, but you can see the buds starting to come there. That's a purple hibiscus. That's the guara. And down here we started again using the microgreen method of planting loads and loads of seeds, over 100 seeds, and then just taking them out in batches and planting them out. We're not able to eat all the microgreens, so I thought it was a bit of a waste, and we might as well put them into the garden. So to my right, I won't bother to show you that because we haven't started planting there, but we'll continue up through the top. So this is amazing here. These are all the pineapples that again we've rescued from the chicken waste from the supermarkets, and they're all doing really well. Look at those pineapples. We'll have a whole bed of pineapples interspersed with beans and wheat and anything else that can be harvested while these pineapples are growing. They'll take over 2 years to get to fruit, so that'll be a while. So here, this is a bed full of different types of herbs. This is meti. I think the Indians also call it ajwan. We've got a lovely yellow melon coming up there. I think that's called peponi or honeydew. Again, that's just a piece from the supermarket. I haven't bought those seeds. I've just pushed it into the ground. We also rescue all the leeks and the spring onions, and we just, you know, when you buy in the supermarket, you get the roots still on the end of the spring onion. Just chop that off and put it into the garden. That's how we've got so many. Here, this has been amazing. These seeds I bought, these are zucchini. Now the zucchini have gone absolutely nuts and they are massive. But I think we have a borer, and the borer has managed to get into one of the plants. And I've done a little bit of investigating online as to how to try to rescue your plants so that they don't get destroyed. And one of the ideas is to put tin foil at the bottom, because the borer comes about 2 inches from the ground and then goes in and bores. But instead what he did, he bored all the way up here. See the top rotted back. So I injected that stump with some pyrethroid insecticide, and I'm hoping that that's going to work out. This is interesting. If you see this long flower here, this is actually a male. So to tell the males from the females, you get the long shoots of the males coming up. So you know when you've got the males and the females, then you're going to start getting fruit. And that's a female with the flower open and the little fruit coming at the back. If you get little rotten vegetables that they go black at the tip, then those have not been pollinated, and you just throw them away because now you know they're rotten. So inside here we've got a mixture of salads and some tomatoes, some indeterminate and some determinate tomatoes. So they're having to be staked. As you can see, they tend to grow rather large, but I've been making sure that the base is clear and no infections are coming up. So these are actually looking splendid. So I'll take you on. The Artemisia is here. So now we're starting to get the seeds of the Artemisia, and I'm going to try and dry that, start drying it this week. It's a great medicinal plant. I don't know much about how the drying process works, but I do know how to make tea with it, so I'm going to do that. This is where we've got all the squash, and look at the squash plants coming. We're very lucky not to have had any squash bugs in this section of squash here, but in the top garden we did have some squash bugs. We haven't been able to catch them yet. Now these are the little yellow crookneck zucchini, so I might be able to show you one. Oh, there we go. There's one there, and they are so tasty. Just chop those in a salad. Can you see all the white fly? I don't know if you can see them all going over. So today we put down these traps, and then this evening we'll spray with neem oil underneath and on top. So this is my experiment for the maize here, and you can see some of it is falling over. We had massive rains this weekend, at least an inch of rain, but I do have a zambarao tree up above, and this zambarao, it's a local fruit. I'm not sure what the name is in English, but zambarao means purple in Kiswahili, and those are the fruits. It's very high in pectin, and I think I'm going to have to trim this back because it's giving too much shade to the maize and not allowing it to grow up really strong. So here we've got a whole line of these crookneck zucchini. They're very, very tasty. So they're coming up. Lots and lots of maize, and then we've got the chop and drop of the shrubs up here, and this will be removed. This is a cassava growing here, and we should get the fruits underneath eventually, and take you through again to more maize and beans, which is a staple in Tanzania and most of Africa, so it's perfect. You have to grow lots of it. And then these stakes are coming up for the determinant tomatoes. So here they go. We've got lots of different seeds. The citrus are doing really well. You see the oranges are coming up. The pawpaws are coming up as well. The fruits are coming. We've now got 2 males, so I'm very excited to have 2 males. Then we've got the seeds for the birds. This is a sorghum. The sorghum has grown beautifully. So this whole area here is sacrificed for the birds, especially. So we planted loads of seeds along here, different types of millet, 3 or 4 different types of millet. And then we'll have enough bird seed throughout the year. They tend to actually eat it off the stalk anyway, so at least we're feeding them. Got a curry leaf tree here, perfect for flavoring your curries. And then this bed is for the muhogo, which is the cassava, and some lovely Scotch bonnet chilies. Look at those. These are seriously hot. You wouldn't want to put more than 1 of those into a meal. We'll go around here. This is Artemisia again. I think this is almost ready. It's starting to change color. These are the pawpaws. You see the beautiful fruits on those pawpaws. Not quite ready yet, but almost there. And I've got my tree tomatoes, and they're not ready yet, but these tree tomatoes have been in for about 4 months, waiting for those to fruit. The most exciting thing about the garden at the moment is the sweet melon. So you'll see them. This is the honeydew, and I've actually sleeved them in old tights, as I really don't want insects to get to them. So you can see these fruits coming up here, and there's a couple more underneath there, and that's really, really exciting. We've got some regular melon on the other side, which is the red melon, the sweet melon, which I showed you already. And then this is a massive head of a sunflower. It's so heavy. We've actually covered it, and it's drooping down, as you can see. It's got a beautiful, beautiful head on it. So that's one section. I'll leave you there so the video is not too long this time. I just want to show you one more thing, an idea of sending the sweet melon up a baobab tree. And hopefully that'll stop the insects from going up, because they tend to fly at ground level. But we've got a little insect trap there at ground level. And then that's the beautiful sweet melon, the honeydew melon, going up the baobab tree. And this baobab tree, I was hoping one day to turn them into the 3 of them together, 1, 2, 3, and build a greenhouse for, not a greenhouse, build a tree house for the grandkids. So there we are. I wonder if there's anything else that, oh yeah, we've got the pyrethrum flowers. I'm really not sure how one processes pyrethrum, but what I've done is I've put the spent flowers into the soaked leachate, and then just hopefully, you've got to experiment, hopefully that will help when we spray the plants. So you can see the difference now in the garden. We've really had a lot of activity over the last couple of months as we've been preparing and getting ready for the rains. So I shall leave you there with the view of a beautiful honeydew melon blossom.